Thank you so much. I appreciate the chance to hear from you, and your testimony is quite moving and disturbing. And I will not be able to stay with you long. I came late, and I have to leave early, but I do want to ask a couple of questions. First, I'll ask Ms. Su, could you give me a sense of to what extent do the people of Hong Kong understand what's happening among them, what's happening in Hong Kong? Do they have access to truth, or has that been cut off for them in the same way it's been cut off in the rest of China?
Thank you, Senator Romney, for your question. So, as I have mentioned in my testimony, the national security law was passed by the Chinese government, and it came into effect in Hong Kong on July 1st, 2020. And that really changed the lives of Hong Kong people, and that really imposed a very, very tight restrictions in terms of our access to internet, to information, and that imposed a very tight restriction in regards to our freedom of expression. So under the national security law, any permanent Hong Kong resident or actually any foreign person who are considered to have committed crimes under the names of subversion, secession, terrorism, and collusion with foreign forces could face up to lifetime imprisonment in Hong Kong. And since the implementation of the national security law, we have saw that over 150 people in Hong Kong have been arrested. And that includes not just pro-democracy activists or high-profile politicians, but then really journalists, media persons, as well as academics and also students or speech therapists who have been participating in our pro-democracy movement. And since the implementation...
But do the people of Hong Kong, do they still have access to information and to truth, or is it really, by virtue of these changes you've described, has it really been shut off? Do they no longer have access to information?
Our access is very limited right now. So since the implementation of the national security law, we have saw that almost all of our independent pro-democracy media outlets in Hong Kong, including Apple Daily, Stand News, have been forcibly shut down. And as I have mentioned that, fearing the date-back charges, all these medias, when they are shutting down, they have to erase their online presence. They have to delete the previous articles and reportings that they have made, or else they will still be put at the risk of being charged under the national security law. And aside from that, we're also finding that the access to internet and also online information is going to be very limited in Hong Kong. So since May 2021, we have found that several pro-democracy websites are being blocked in Hong Kong. And last month, our organization's website was also being blocked in Hong Kong. And on top of that, we have received a letter from the Hong Kong Police Department asking us to remove our content regarding our campaigns on free political prisoners and asking for international sanctions against Chinese and also Hong Kong officials to be removed. So that really illustrates the picture.
Thank you. Ms. Ressa, thank you for your participation and your courage. And I'm interested in the same question, which is, to what extent do the people of the Philippines understand what's going on? Are they angry at the repression of the media they're seeing? Do they have access to truth, or are they blindly going along with what's happening and not paying much attention to it?
Thank you, Senator Romney. I think in the beginning, in 2016, what we saw was a gradual polarization of our society. And it was a very simple thing because we spend so much time on Facebook, right? And what happened was that one algorithm, how you grow your network, friends of friends, that algorithm essentially meant that in 2016, while we all agreed on the facts, if you're pro-Duterte, you moved further right. And then if you're anti-Duterte, friends of friends meant you moved further left, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. So this is where we are. Our society's been polarized. And in the beginning, in 2016, up until I would say this year, fear played a factor. The kind of exponential, where free speech was being used to stifle free speech, attacking exponentially somebody who would criticize the drug war, for example. Those were the first citizens attacked on social media. People were afraid and it became silent. And then we went through 6 years. Now we're right before elections, 40 days before elections, and it's extremely chaotic in the Philippines. People are finding their voices. I think this is why it's leading to an existential moment. Do people know what's happening? Yes. The battle for democracy can be won in our country. And, I have not stopped speaking. We have not, our communities have moved forward. But again, until we can actually reach people, until the lies, the virus of lies, this is what I started calling it before the pandemic began. If this virus of lies infects real people, and it is much harder to cure real people than it is to actually stop the infection.
Thank you very much. Finally, Ms. Cook, I'm interested in your perception on how effective we can be in getting truth to some of these people in these nations. When I hear Radio Free Europe, I think, do people still listen to the radio anymore? Do we have better techniques? Your first suggestion, which is that in our discussions with other nations, that in addition to the human rights on our agenda, we should talk about communication rights and information rights as a vital human right. But I wonder, do we need to change the way we're communicating with the world and change the way we're trying to get truth to the people of the world where there is repression of their vehicles of expression?
So I think, in a lot of ways, Radio Free Asia and Radio Free Europe are no longer just on the radio. And I think you do see, some really critical ways, especially using circumvention tool technologies and other avenues to get information to people inside China. Even in places like China, there are actually a lot of people with illegal satellite dishes that will listen to dissident satellite TV stations. Will try to access BBC in Chinese. So I think you do see situations where people are able to access uncensored news. It's just very hard. And so I think they need more and more, there's just many more barriers. But you do see that demand, I think, outstrips supply. And so, especially in terms of on the technological side, trying to find ways to help people in places where information is blocked get access to that. But honestly, there's also all kinds of other avenues of supporting, for example, Hong Kong media to preserve and revive the content that they've had to delete in Hong Kong. Is some of it saved? Can they revive it outside so people can access it? Because in Hong Kong, for example, there isn't a full Great Firewall just yet. We're starting to see inklings of it, but it's not to the level of mainland China. And so I think that's so vitally important. I think we just shouldn't underestimate the demand for information in different countries, as well as the creativity that people have, civil society groups, digital activists, even traditional media, in using a variety of platforms to reach users. On the other hand, we shouldn't underestimate how creative the Chinese Communist Party state media can be as well, because they're becoming more effective at using global social media platforms as well, and to manipulate those. So it's definitely, a two-sided battle there.
Thank you much. Senator Markey and I both have to go vote, and so we're going to take a recess for a moment. As soon as he gets back, and he's already gone, he'll come back, and I'll run off and vote now. He will be back and continue the conversation. So you all can take a break for a moment here, and we'll resume in just a moment. Thank you.